The text came through at 2:47 a.m. Justin, we need space. Your energy is toxic right now. My brother Eric's words glowed on my phone screen while I sat in my hospital bed, for drip feeding poison into my veins to kill the stage 3 lymphoma trying to kill me. I was 28 years old, bald from my second round of chemo, and my own family was breaking up with me like a bad girlfriend. Let me back up. 3 months earlier, I'd collapsed during a pickup game at LA Fitness on Crenshaw. My boys thought I was out of shape. Turns out, my lymph nodes were the size of golf balls. The diagnosis came on a Tuesday. I called my family from Dr. Hall's office, voice shaking, and my mother sobbed so hard she couldn't speak. Eric promised he'd be there. My sister Felicia said she'd move back from Atlanta if needed. For exactly 2 weeks, they showed up. Then the reality of cancer set in. The vomiting. The exhaustion. The depression that comes when you're 30 pounds lighter and can't remember what food tastes like. I stopped pretending to be upbeat during their visits. I stopped protecting their feelings. That's when I became too much. You're bringing everyone down, Mark, Felicia had said during what I didn't know was her last visit. We're trying to be positive, but you keep talking about death and pain. We can't heal you if you won't help yourself. I stared at her designer bag, the one that cost more than my insurance copay. I have cancer, not a bad attitude. She left 10 minutes later. Now, at 2:47 a.m., my brother was making it official. They were done with me. The nurse found me crying into my pillow at 3 a.m. Her name was Sylvia, 50-something, with kind eyes that had seen too much. Family, she asked, and I nodded. She didn't say anything else, just checked my vitals and adjusted my morphine drip slightly higher than necessary. Some angels wear scrubs. My phone buzzed again. Eric's follow-up. When you're better and can be around people without making everything dark, we'll reconnect. Focus on getting well. We love you, but we have to protect our peace. Protect their peace. I was fighting for my life, and they needed to protect their peace. I didn't respond. What could I say? Instead, I opened my laptop and started researching. If I was going to survive this alone, I needed to understand every single thing happening to my body. I read medical journals at 4 a.m. I joined cancer survivor forums at 5 a.m. I memorized drug names, side effects, success rates. Dr. Hall found me like that the next morning, laptop still open, surrounded by printouts. Justin, you should be resting. I need to understand why this treatment makes me feel like I'm dying to stay alive. He sat down, something doctors rarely do. The current protocol is aggressive because we're trying to outrun the cancer. But you're right, there has to be better ways. The field is evolving. Something clicked in my brain. I'd been a finance major, worked in investment banking before the diagnosis. Numbers were my language. What if someone approached cancer treatment like a business problem? Optimize for outcomes and quality of life. Dr. Hall smiled sadly. That would require innovation, funding, and someone who actually gives a damn. Unfortunately, most people with those resources haven't sat where you're sitting. I survived round 3 of chemo alone. Then round 4. Then 5. My mother called once, crying, asking why I was being so stubborn. If you'd just apologize to your brother and sister, we could all move past this. Apologize for what? I asked, genuinely confused. For making everything about you. For being so negative. For pushing us away. I hung up. Later, I'd learn that was the last time I'd speak to her for 3 years. The isolation did something unexpected. It clarified everything. I wasn't going to waste energy on people who viewed my cancer as an inconvenience to their comfort. Instead, I poured everything into understanding my disease and the broken system treating it. I befriended other patients. Todd, 62, whose adult children rotated weekly visits like a chore schedule. LaShonda, 35, whose husband filed for divorce after her diagnosis because he couldn't handle the stress. We became our own family, sharing snacks, comparing side effects, celebrating small victories like keeping down solid food. Todd noticed I was always researching. You thinking about going to medical school or something? Maybe. Or maybe I'll build something better than this. I gestured at the Depressing infusion center, with its fluorescent lights and chairs that hurt your back during 6-hour treatments. LaShonda laughed, weak but genuine. If you do, remember us little people. Make it not suck. Deal. 6 months later, I was in remission. No fanfare, no family celebration. Just Dr. Hall's satisfied nod and Sylvia hugging me so hard I thought I'd need more treatment. I walked out of that hospital with a backpack and a mission. My family had taught me something valuable. I was completely, terrifyingly free. Business school applications went out that fall. Stanford, Wharton, Harvard. My personal essay wrote itself. Cancer taught me that our healthcare system treats patients like production units instead of human beings. I survived, but I shouldn't have had to suffer like I did. I'm going to fix that. Harvard said yes. I deferred my acceptance, spent a year working with a biotech startup in San Francisco, learning the industry from the inside. The founder, Dr. Yolanda Parker, had lost her wife to ovarian cancer. She understood what I was building toward. The treatment itself is often worse than necessary, she explained during one of our long strategy sessions. Pharmaceutical companies optimize for efficacy, not patient experience. There's no money in making chemo less miserable. What if we made that the whole point? I proposed. A treatment center that combines cutting-edge medicine with actual humanity. Natural light, comfortable spaces, nutritional support, mental health integration, pain management that doesn't just mask symptoms. Yolanda stared at me. That would cost millions to build. Then we find millions. I spent my Harvard years networking obsessively. Every pitch competition, every investor mixer, every alumni event. My story opened doors. The kid who beat cancer alone and decided to revolutionize treatment. VCs loved a good narrative. I also stayed away from my family. They'd tried reaching out twice. Once when my grandmother died, my mother called, expecting me to just show up. I sent flowers instead. The second time was Eric's wedding. The invitation came with a note, "We'd love to move past our differences." I didn't respond. There was no moving past. There was only moving forward. Relive Oncology Centers opened its first location in Oakland 3 years after my last chemo treatment. 20,000 square feet of what cancer treatment should be. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Recliners that actually reclined. A kitchen where patients could request real food prepared by a nutritionist who understood chemo-ravaged taste buds. Therapists on staff. Support groups. Art therapy. Music therapy. And most importantly, the latest targeted therapies, immunotherapies, and personalized medicine protocols that treated cancer aggressively while minimizing the hell patients endured. The medical community was skeptical. "You're too focused on comfort," one oncologist told me during a conference. "Cancer treatment is war. Patients need to be tough. Patients need to be supported," I countered. "Your war metaphor is exactly what's wrong. We're not soldiers. We're sick people who deserve dignity." Our outcomes spoke louder than critics. Within 18 months, Relive had better remission rates than comparable facilities and higher patient satisfaction scores. Turns out, people who aren't miserable comply better with treatment. Revolutionary concept. We expanded. Seattle. Denver. Atlanta, yes, Felicia's city. I didn't tell her. Chicago. And finally, Los Angeles, right in my hometown, 15 miles from where my family still lived. I was 33, worth $40 million on paper, and hadn't spoken to my blood relatives in 5 years. Then my phone rang with a number I'd deleted but somehow still recognized. "Justin? It's Eric." My hand shook. I almost hung up. Instead, I answered with one word, "What?" "It's Bianca. She has breast cancer. Stage 2. We need help." Bianca. His wife. The woman he'd married while I was rebuilding my life from scratch. I'd seen photos on social media before I blocked everyone. Pretty smile. Seemed kind. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, meaning it. Your treatment centers, everyone says they're the best. Can you get her in? I should have said no. Every therapist I'd seen over the years, and there'd been several, would have advised boundaries. But cancer isn't about me. It never was. Have her call our Los Angeles intake coordinator. I'll flag her file as priority. Justin, thank you. I know This isn't for you. My voice was ice. This is for her. She didn't abandon me. Silence. Then, quietly, can we talk? Before her first appointment. No. I hung up. Then I called Dr. Sarah Green, our LA facility director. Bianca Alexander, incoming patient. Give her everything. I don't care about cost. I want her to have the experience I wished I'd had. Understood. Will you be involved in her care plan? No. But I'll be watching. Bianca's intake was scheduled for the following Monday. I reviewed her file remotely. Stage 2A triple-positive breast cancer. Excellent prognosis with proper treatment, but the standard protocol would be brutal. 8 rounds of combination chemo, then surgery, then radiation, then targeted therapy. I opened a video call with Dr. Green and Bianca's assigned oncologist, Dr. James Adams. I want us to run the genomic panel first. See if we can qualify her for the antibody-drug conjugate trial. Less systemic toxicity, better outcomes. Dr. Adams nodded. Already on it. Her profile suggests she's a good candidate. And I want full supportive care from day one. Pre-medications to prevent nausea, cold cap therapy to reduce hair loss, acupuncture, the works. She can't afford the premium package, Dr. Adams noted, checking the insurance information. She's not paying. Anonymous benefactor. Make it happen. I watched Bianca's first appointment via the security footage I definitely wasn't supposed to access. She looked terrified, small in the waiting room chair. Eric sat beside her, holding her hand. Bianca's treatment began on a Wednesday. I knew because I'd arranged my schedule to be in the LA office that day, though I stayed in my executive suite, away from the treatment floors. Dr. Green called me around noon. She's asking about you. What did you tell her? That you're occasionally on site but not involved in direct patient care. She said she wishes she could thank you personally for what you've built. That her sister-in-law went through chemo 5 years ago and it nearly destroyed her. My jaw clenched. Her sister-in-law. Yes. I didn't realize the connection until. It's fine. How's she responding to treatment? Remarkably well. The pre-medications are working. She's tolerating the infusion with minimal discomfort. I pulled up the live feed again. Bianca was in one of our premium suites, reclining in afternoon sunlight, reading a book. A nurse checked her vitals, smiling. This was everything I'd envisioned. A patient being treated like a human being. Eric walked back in with smoothies from our nutrition bar. He sat beside his wife, and even through the grainy footage, I could see the fear in his posture. The way his hand trembled slightly as he handed her the cup. I recognized that fear. I'd lived it. Alone. Sylvia, my old nurse from 5 years ago, had transferred to Relive 6 months after we opened. She'd found me in my office that evening. Is that your brother downstairs? How did you know? He has your eyes. And he looks how families should look when someone they love is sick. She paused. Scared but present. He wasn't present for me. I know, baby. I remember. 3 weeks into Bianca's treatment, my mother showed up at the LA facility. Security called me immediately. There's a Cecilia Alexander here demanding to see you. She's making a scene in the lobby. I closed my eyes. I'll be down. She looked older. Smaller. The woman who'd raised me, taught me to read, braided my hair when I was young. She also looked furious. You're going to help Eric's wife, but you won't talk to your own family. Her voice echoed through the lobby. Other patients and families stared. Mrs. Alexander, let's take this to a private room, our security chief suggested. No. He needs to hear this. You're being petty, Justin. Holding a grudge over something that happened when you were sick and irrational. Something in me snapped. I had cancer, Mama. Not a personality disorder. I was dying, and y'all decided I was too depressing to deal with. We were scared. So was I. The words exploded out of me. I was 28 years old, throwing up blood, losing my hair, watching my body destroy itself, and my family abandoned me because I wasn't positive enough for your comfort. She stepped back like I'd slapped her. We didn't abandon you. We just needed to protect your peace. I remember. I lowered my voice. Other patients didn't need to witness this. Bianca is getting the best care available because she's a human being with cancer. Not because of Eric. Not because of you. Now please leave my facility. Your facility. She laughed bitterly. You think building this gives you the right to play God? No. Going through hell alone gave me the wisdom to make sure others don't have to. Security, please escort Mrs. Alexander out. She left screaming that I was ungrateful, that family was supposed to forgive. Dr. Green found me in my office an hour later, staring at nothing. Bianca saw what happened. She's asking to speak with you. Absolutely not. Justin, she's crying. She didn't know. None of them told her what they did to you. I looked up sharply. What do you mean? She thought you'd had a falling out over money or something. Eric told her you'd grown apart. She had no idea they abandoned you during your treatment. My hands curled into fists. Of course, Eric hadn't told the truth. That would require accountability. She's devastated. She keeps saying she wouldn't have asked for your help if she'd known. That she feels like she's betraying you by being here. That's ridiculous. She has cancer. She needs treatment. She needs to hear that from you. I rode the elevator down to the treatment floor, each ding marking my descent into a confrontation I'd avoided for 5 years. Bianca's suite was at the end of the hall. I knocked. Come in. She looked so much like the photos, but real. Vulnerable. A scarf covered her thinning hair, she'd opted against the cold cap, said it gave her headaches. The 4-drip fed medicine into her port, the same poison to heal paradox I remembered. Mr. Alexander. Justin. Please. Justin. She tried to smile. Failed. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Eric said you two had drifted apart after college, that family dynamics were complicated. He never said. He never told me he abandoned you when you were sick. How did you find out? Your mother. She was screaming about how ungrateful you were, about how she stayed with you through treatment. Bianca wiped her eyes. But your nurse, Sylvia, she overheard and couldn't stay quiet. Sylvia had apparently given my mother a piece of her mind in the parking lot, detailing exactly how alone I'd been, how I'd cried myself to sleep, how I'd been so weak after one treatment that I'd fallen trying to reach the bathroom and lay on the floor for 20 minutes before anyone found me. She said you used to stare at your phone during infusions, waiting for messages that never came, Bianca continued, voice breaking. That you spent Thanksgiving in the hospital by yourself because your family was protecting their peace. I couldn't speak. Hearing it repeated made it real again in a way I'd managed to bury. I told Eric I'm transferring my care. That I can't accept help from someone his family destroyed. No. The word came out sharp. You're staying. Your treatment plan is working. Dr. Adams is excellent. This facility gives you the best chance. But it's not right. Cancer doesn't care about what's right. I sat down, suddenly exhausted. Look, Bianca, what happened to me was horrible. What my family did was unforgivable. But you getting proper treatment isn't about them or me. It's about you surviving. She studied me with eyes too wise for the situation. You built all this because of what happened to you. I built this because the system is broken. Because patients deserve better. Because. I trailed off, then decided honesty was warranted. Because I needed something good to come from the worst experience of my life. Does helping me count as something good? Helping you was always good. You're not them. Bianca reached out, squeezed my hand. For what it's worth, if I'd known, I would have been there. I would have sat with you. No one should go through that alone. I believed her. Eric requested a meeting. I ignored him for 2 weeks. Then Bianca called personally. Please. He's falling apart. He knows what he did now, and it's eating him alive. Good. Justin. He deserves to fall apart, Bianca. He let me fall apart alone. I know. But I need him right now. I need him functional and present, not drowning in guilt. Please. Just talk to him. I agreed to meet at a coffee shop in Pasadena, neutral territory. Eric arrived first, looking like he'd aged 10 years in 2 months. Good. Mark. Don't call me that. You lost that privilege. He flinched. Okay. Justin. I don't know how to start this. Then don't. There's nothing you can say that will change what you did. I was a coward. The words tumbled out. I was 26, stupid, and scared. Seeing you sick terrified me. It made me think about mortality and loss, and I couldn't handle it. So I ran. I convinced Felicia and Mama that you were bringing us down, that we needed to take care of ourselves first. You sent me a text at 2:47 a.m. telling me I was too toxic to be around. While I was in chemo. I know. Do you really understand what that did to me? Eric's eyes filled with tears. I watched Bianca go through 3 weeks of treatment in a beautiful facility with support and dignity, and all I could think about was you suffering through the same thing in some depressing hospital room. Alone. Because of me. Because of all of you. Mama won't admit it. Felicia says we did what we had to do. But I know the truth. I let him sit in his guilt for a minute. Bianca's scan results came back. The tumor's shrinking ahead of schedule. Dr. Adams thinks we can potentially reduce her treatment timeline. Eric's head snapped up. Really? The genomic testing paid off. She's responding perfectly to the targeted therapy. With continued progress, she might avoid radiation altogether. God, that's incredible. He wiped his eyes. Thank you. I know you're doing this for her, not me, but thank you. You're right. I am doing it for her. I leaned forward. Here's what's going to happen. Bianca will complete her treatment at Relive. You will continue to be the supportive husband she deserves. And when she's in remission and healthy, you're going to sit down with her and really explain what you did to me. Not the sanitized version. The truth. I already told her. Not all of it. You told her you abandoned me. But did you tell her about the time I called you from the emergency room at 3 a.m. because I was coughing up blood and you sent it to voicemail? Did you mention that I spent my 30th birthday in the hospital alone because you all went to Felicia's baby shower instead? His face went grey. How do you remember my son's birthday? I remember everything, Eric. Every missed call. Every ignored text. Every excuse. It's burned into my brain. I'll tell her everything. I promise. Good. And then you're going to live with the fact that your wife is alive and healthy because the brother you abandoned decided to be a better person than you were to him. I stood to leave. Eric grabbed my arm. Is there any chance? Can we ever fix this? I looked at his hand on my arm, then at his desperate face. I don't know. Ask me again when Bianca's been cancer-free for 5 years. Maybe by then, I'll have forgotten what it feels like to be disposable. Bianca finished her treatment on a Tuesday in March, 8 months after her diagnosis. The tumor was gone. Margins clear. No radiation needed. She rang the ceremonial bell we'd installed in the lobby, surrounded by staff who'd become family, other patients who'd walked beside her, and Eric, who'd somehow managed to be present every single day. I watched from my office window. Sylvia found me there. You should go down. She's asking for you. This is her moment. It's your moment too. You built this. I went down. Bianca saw me and immediately started crying. I'm clear. I'm actually clear. Congratulations. You worked hard for this. She hugged me, fierce and tight. I wouldn't be here without you. This place, these people, everything you created, it saved my life and my sanity. You saved yourself. We just provided support. Eric approached cautiously. Justin, I know we have a long way to go, but, thank you. For everything. I nodded. Didn't smile. Didn't forgive. But I acknowledged. 3 weeks later, Relive announced our expansion into 5 new cities. Our patient outcomes were forcing the industry to evolve. Other centers were copying our model, making treatment more humane. That was the point. Not revenge. Not vindication. Revolution. My family sends cards sometimes. Birthday wishes. Holiday greetings. I don't respond, but I don't throw them away either. Maybe someday. For now, I focus on the patients. The Todds and Lashondas and Biancas who deserve better than a system that treats them like inconveniences. Every person who walks through Relive's doors gets what I didn't: dignity, support, and humanity. And every time someone rings that bell, cancer-free and crying with joy, I remember that sometimes the best revenge is building something so good that the people who broke you benefit from who you became.